Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to take a super fascinating look at how to transform your absolute favorite seasonal decoration, the beautiful Christmas star, also known as the poinsettia, from just a temporary holiday guest into a permanent perennial houseplant. Want to ensure your Christmas star remains vibrant long after the holiday season? You're about to discover expert secrets that will keep your festive plant thriving year-round. We're breaking down the actual science, plus the very specific steps you need to keep this gorgeous plant alive and kicking through all 4 seasons. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the history of the Christmas star, then post-holiday immediate care, overcoming common challenges, spring pruning and repotting, year-round growth strategies, and finally, a viewer Q&A and wrap-up. Section 1. History of the Christmas star. Understanding exactly where this plant comes from in the wild is really the key to understanding how we need to care for it in our homes. The poinsettia is actually a native thorny shrub from Mexico. Way before it was sitting on your dining room table, it was being cultivated by the Aztecs. They actually used the plant for traditional medicine to reduce fevers, and they even extracted this brilliant red dye from its vibrant bracts. It wasn't until the 1820s that it was introduced to the United States by Joel Roberts Poinsett, the first U.S. ambassador to Mexico, who sent cuttings back to his greenhouses in South Carolina. Knowing its tropical, warm weather origins totally sets the stage for everything we're about to do next. Section 2, post-holiday immediate care. Let's pivot right into the immediate triage phase, addressing exactly what to do right after the holidays end. So, the crucial point is stability. These plants crave a very specific environment. You want to maintain daytime temperatures between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit and nighttime temperatures right around 55 degrees. Give them about 6 hours of indirect light daily, and whatever you do, keep them away from drafty, cold windows and hot heating vents. Remember, they are tropical shrubs, not Arctic explorers. Now, perhaps the absolute most vital step of all, watering. You should only water when the soil is completely dry to the touch. And if your plant came wrapped in that shiny decorative foil, you must punch holes in the bottom of that foil immediately so the water can drain out. Trapped water is literally a poinsettia's worst enemy. Now, you might be wondering about feeding your plant right now. Hold off. Actually, you should wait to fertilize until you start to see brand new green growth appearing. Once you see that new life pushing through, you can begin feeding it with just an all-purpose plant food at half the recommended strength every 3 to 4 weeks. Section 3. Overcoming common plant challenges. Poinsettias can be notoriously tricky, and it's perfectly normal to run into a few hurdles. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how rapidly these plants communicate their stress to you. The very first sign of trouble is usually wilting or curling leaves. This can happen top down, bottom up, or just randomly across the whole plant. If they're starved for water or nutrients, they'll actually drop their older, lower leaves first in a desperate attempt to protect that precious new growth at the top. To figure out what's going on, just check the symptoms. If you see yellowing and dropping of the lower leaves, the common cause is almost always overwatering or root rot. The fix? Make sure you discard excess water in the saucer and ensure proper drainage. If the leaves are curling and dropping, well, you're probably underwatering. Check that soil daily. And if you see a rapid, sudden wilting and collapse of the entire plant, that points to disease, like Pythium root rot, which usually comes from keeping the soil far too soggy. The main takeaway here, improper watering is the primary culprit, and thankfully, if caught early, it's totally fixable. Section 4. Spring pruning and repotting. This is where we prepare the plant for a brand new life cycle. Let's move to and see how this builds, because once we've survived the winter, it's time to prep for the future. Around April, you'll want to decrease watering to allow the plant to naturally enter a brief dormancy. Then, in May, we do something that feels incredibly terrifying, but I promise it's absolutely essential. Grab your shears and cut the stems aggressively back to just 4 to 6 inches above the soil line. I know it feels like you're ruining it, but this radical haircut is exactly what encourages healthy, vibrant new growth. This is also the perfect time to repot the plant into a new container that's 2 to 4 inches larger, using a fresh, well-draining soil mix. Section 5. Year-round growth strategies. Let's shift our focus to the summer growth phase and the highly anticipated fall reblooming process. For summer care, once all danger of frost has passed and night temps stay consistently above 50 degrees, gradually acclimate your plant outdoors. It absolutely loves 6 to 8 hours of direct morning sun with a little afternoon shade. But here is the ultimate expert secret for a beautiful plant: pinching. Every 3 to 4 weeks until mid-August, you need to pinch off the new shoot tips. This prevents the plant from growing into a tall, leggy, awkward weed and forces it to become that compact, bushy, lush dome that we all associate with professional nursery poinsettias. Then comes the totally fascinating part: getting it to turn red again. Poinsettias are what we call short-day plants. They operate on this amazing principle called photoperiodism. They will only produce those iconic colored leaves, the bracts, when they're exposed to long, uninterrupted nights. Around Labor Day, move the plant back indoors. Then, starting exactly on the autumn equinox, your plant needs 14 to 16 hours of absolute, complete darkness every single day, followed by 8 hours of bright light right up until Thanksgiving. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact schedule. During this fall period, temperature control remains absolutely critical. You want to maintain 60 to 65 degrees. If your nighttime temperatures creep up above 70 or 75 degrees, it can completely delay or utterly ruin the flowering process. It takes dedication, for sure, but the reward is immense. Section 6, Viewer Q&A and Wrap-Up. Let's open the floor to some common, real-world questions. First question: how exactly do I provide complete darkness for my plant in the fall? This is a really great, highly practical question. Any stray light, even a street lamp through the window or a quick flash of a hallway light, can interrupt the whole cycle. The easiest method? Place the plant in an unused pitch-black closet or physically cover it entirely with a large, heavy cardboard box every single evening at 5 p.m. and take it off at 8 a.m. the next morning. Consistency is key here. Next question: my new poinsettia is rapidly dropping its leaves right after I bought it. What did I do wrong? First of all, don't panic. This is the most common mistake in the book. As we covered earlier, you likely left that beautiful, shiny, decorative foil completely intact. Without punching drainage holes in the bottom, the water just pulled up and your plant is actively drowning, starving the roots of oxygen. Simply take it out, let it drain completely, and let the soil dry out before you water it again. Caring for a Christmas star past December isn't just about saving money on next year's decorations. It's an incredibly rewarding journey. You're taking a plant native to the warm climates of Mexico and mastering its unique biological cycles right in your own living room. By following these structured steps, you really can transform a seasonal decoration into a lifelong, thriving houseplant. The information provided in this explainer is for educational purposes only. Always consult with a professional horticulturist or local nursery specialist for customized advice tailored to your specific plant and environmental needs. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible plant today. So, what do you think? Are you ready to test your green thumb and trick your poinsettia into blooming again next year? Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and enjoy the beautiful results.